Good afternoon, everybody. Good morning, good evening, good whenever you're listening to us. Welcome to a special edition of Midnight's Edge After Dark. It's a lazy Saturday afternoon. It's Saturday. It's 2 days before Christmas. 3 days, whatever it is. It's right before Christmas. Tomorrow's Festivus. You're hungover. You were out last night, so why not recover with us? With me, as always, is Mr. Tom Connors.
Why do you always do that when I got the mute on? Just kidding. We haven't done a Saturday show in a while, have we?
I don't think we have. No,
it's been like 2-3 weeks.
Yeah, it has been. It has been a while since we've done the Saturday show.
But we have a special guest with us. Oh, go ahead.
No, okay. I was about to say, so I'm, of course, your narrator, Mr. Rob Robot Shlomo from Shabby Road Studios.
And we have a special guest with us. He's joined us on a few shows before on this channel and on the main channel. But he's finally on After Dark. Welcome, Jeffrey Thompson, writer, director, and currently working on a video game, correct, sir?
Yes. Devil's Hunt, due in 2019 on Xbox One and PlayStation 4. Thank you, Rob, and thank you, Tom.
Awesome. I almost developed my own game called Grand Theft Auto Vatican City. Where you steal a Pope Mobile, you run over the Cardinals, you pick up altar boys. But that's we're not gonna get into that stuff. This is where you laugh like sympathetically, like how bad a joke that was. So. So okay. Anyway, it's Saturday afternoon. Like I said, everybody.
Jeff, how goofy we get here.
Yeah. Oh, if you just goof along right with us, Jeff. It's no problem.
If you were Jeffrey or Jeff, I think you like Jeffrey better, right?
Jeffrey or Jeff.
I mean, I'm so used to my mom saying Jeffrey. You can just, I don't even care.
To me, my thing is I always call you Jeff because my kid is Jeffrey to me. So.
Right, yeah. So I'm so used to you saying Jeff. That's why, like, it just rings when you call me Jeff. You can always just say Jeff. I don't care.
All right, we are got some money. Tim Augustine.
Oh, awesome.
$2. Poke the bear. Rob, Trevor, Noah, go rant.
No, don't. Please, don't. No, don't do that to me.
Maybe we'll save a few minutes for the end.
Yeah. I'll turn to Lewis back. So, yeah. So, So, Jeff, it was a pretty, as you know, pretty loose format here. You pretty much say anything that's on your mind within reason. So,
right.
Yeah, like I said, we get pretty goofy here. So
the only thing we don't get into is like religion and politics, pretty much, and that's about it.
Right.
No. And Mecca doesn't understand sports, so it's all sports ball, no matter what it is.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So anyway,
which she's listening. She's in the chat. She's getting her hair done. Ooh,
you go, girl.
So it's Guys' Day today.
Yeah. So yeah, it's Guys' Day today. Yeah, we're gonna go out later and pick up chicks. Yeah, so
yeah,
we're heading to the nudie bar.
That'd be fun. But what kind of girls would be left on a Saturday before Christmas?
Saturday afternoon is the B team.
That's what I would imagine.
Yeah, they may be a little weather, but they try a lot harder.
Yes, we know everybody wants a porn stream. We haven't got the balls yet to ask Andre. I'm sure he's heard us talk about it though, but he hasn't mentioned it. So.
If anything, I'll probably be me and Mecca doing a porn stream on her channel because she seems to be the most open to it. And having a guy and a girl doing a porn podcast, that would be more fitting than just a couple of creepy guys sitting around talking about porn.
Yeah, I don't even know if I could get in on that one. I mean, I don't have a very varied porn.
Okay, this is the kind of discussion we have now. Jeff, who's your favorite porn star?
Oh Jesus.
Oh my God, I don't watch porn.
There you go.
In the words of Billy Crystal from The Princess Bride, boy, you were right.
He don't have to watch porn. He ain't nothing like us, Rob. We're white, fat, and schlubby. He's a good-looking guy. He gets women probably left and right.
Oh my God.
He's got the benefit. He's got the benefit of being an American in a foreign land. You are American? You are American?
You know how they just. You got to be careful with that because some people they're trying to get that passport or they're just trying to get to America.
After the Bass and Thompson fortune. So.
Well, definitely, actually, we kind of work together. We're like we're co-writers or partners, however you want to put it. And like I said, we've had Jeffrey on previously on the main channel. We've had him on a couple times here and there. So maybe you've heard him before. If not, would hopefully enjoy him with us today. But we got some Star Wars stuff to talk about. Earlier this week, we covered this story a little bit, but now we have some more to go with it. So, Rob, tell us a little bit about this situation with.
Yes, our good friend, arch nemesis, and pencil neck geek Matt Miller. It turns out when he said, "I'm not a Disney shill," like it turns out actually, yeah, he kind of is.
I love it how we got a new enemy.
Yes,
we got a new one. That's funny.
Yes.
Do you have this?
I'm trying to bring this up
right now. Here, I'll give you the link.
Send me the link. So this is what we call in the business stretch.
Yeah, right. Jeff's just like, these guys are so unprofessional. Hey, it's Saturday.
No.
What are you gonna do?
It's Saturday. Yeah, it's Saturday. So it turns out, well, just first of all, take a look at this guy. Just pan up a little bit on the screen so everybody can see that. Just take a that hair. And that was that faux beard. You're trying to look like you've been out like on the frontier cutting wood or something, with that.
That's
and that
beard?
jacket.
I thought that was shit on his face.
I don't know. He's in that jacket.
I'm being mean.
I mean, if this guy wasn't a writer, he'd be an out of work actor. He really would be. Look. This is just screaming douche.
But
anyway, not that I judge people. But he does look like a douche.
What were you gonna say,
so anyway.
Jeff?
No, that was a bad business move on his part to even try and talk down to people that had an opinion about The Last Jedi. I don't agree with that at all. Everyone's entitled to their own opinion, right? So
yes,
live and let live, right? Not everyone is gonna like that, but not everyone actually hated The Last Jedi as well. But it did receive some backlash. Was it warranted? I feel so. From a business perspective, and I think Rob and Tom would agree with me, if we had made a movie, right, that made billions of dollars, I don't think we would go out of our way to attack fans of the franchise on social media. You can't do that. That's just you. It's literally you're cannibalizing money coming into your pocket, and I don't think you two would be dumb enough to do anything like that.
Yeah, no.
Well, you think, but they are. So.
Yeah.
There's kind of more to this because, like we said, just to kind of give people some context before we get into this portion of it, we've got a lot of our regulars, so they kind of know what's going on. But in case you're not, or you haven't been up to date, earlier this week, this gentleman wrote a article about how toxic fandom killed Star Wars. Okay. And then, of course, Doomcock and a few other people did some videos about it, and that just rattled this dude's cage. So then he wrote an article claiming, they proved my whole point. When this whole time he's done nothing but basically prove our point that there's a media bias against these fans that are trying to hide behind the fact that the movie has flaws and issues and a very upset fan base behind it. And then this comes out. We just find this out that this guy, we asked ourselves this on the last podcast. We're like, we wonder, is Esquire owned by Disney or something? We didn't know then, but now we know. So give us the rundown here, Rob.
Okay. Well, according to Disney, Star Wars is dumb, the Star Wars blog. Okay. Matt Miller is apparently partnered with Disney. Perhaps you've read my recent blog post where I present evidence that suggests Disney uses its underlings to viciously attack a portion of its fan base in an effort to purge them. Perhaps you dismiss the notion as ridiculous. Conspiracy, poppycock. We don't use the word poppycock as much.
Not enough.
No. I prefer the word snollygoster, which is actually a real word. You got to look that up, snollygoster. Really? Well, anyway, you'd be wrong. Many of my readers have likely read or heard about Matt Miller's recent articles in Esquire, where he uses the 1-year anniversary of the release of The Last Jedi to parrot a recap of everything that the garbage tier media has been stupidly saying about critical fans over the last year. Well, as it turns out, Esquire magazine is owned by Hearst Communications. Hearst Communications, they own a lot of different publications, newspapers, Elle Magazine, Car and Drivers, you see. Hearst Communications partners with Disney under A&E Networks. Okay, here has the headline. Disney ABC Television Group, Hearst Corporation, NBC Universal announce joining of A&E Television Networks and Lifetime Entertainment Services. So once again, a Disney underling is viciously attacking the fans with easily discredited lies and distortions. I like saying it that way. Lies. Some readers may remember Matt Miller's previous offerings. An early Star Wars image proves Luke Skywalker's twist in The Last Jedi was planned from the beginning. Laura Dern just revealed a key detail that changes Star Wars character, and this Star Wars analysis will end debate about Luke Skywalker's character in The Last Jedi, which I dealt with twice. LOL, it's a children's movie, folks. Matt Miller tweets. Okay, you know what? That pisses me off. Okay, you dismiss everything. It's a children's movie. You know what that says to me? Oh, I don't think a whole lot of kids and what they watch, so I'm perfectly happy with any shit that they shovel to them. But that's just me. So anyway, but thanks for proving my point, Matt. For myself, I'm no longer
look who he calls out. That's what I love. This guy. He calls out Mecca.
Yes.
He calls out Doomcock.
Mega Doomcock, Star Wars Toxic.
Who are these guys?
Oh, gee, look at that. Who can that possibly be? With Ray in tears. And actually that thumbnail that I made that thumbnail. So and that actually is our
gives Mecca quite a bit of props, considering she was very upset, and rightfully so, that this idiot left her out and a couple other prominent female nerds and YouTubers of the argument. And notice he posts quite a few of her videos here, so we got to give him props for that too. This itchy guy, whoever he is, he's a good dude.
Yeah, he's good people, as they say. So anyway, that's he's not exactly working for Disney and for Lucasfilm, but he's partnered with companies that are, and so he's towing the line for them. So okay, you guys, let's kick it over
Jeffrey,
to you guys.
Let's get a little bit from you, since you're kind of on the other side of this more so than I am, obviously, and I sent you the articles to kind of get you up to date on the whole situation. I don't know if you had a chance to really go through it or not, but
a little bit. Like I said before, I just think I think the guy is. I don't know if he's doing this for clickbait to try to get more people onto his page. Possibly it could be working for the short term, but the long term, I don't think it's gonna be it's sustainable. And if he is sort of by proxy employed by Disney, this is a bad move. Like, you cannot. I repeat, you cannot attack your fans. These are the people who are purchasing the toys. Well, who could potentially be purchasing the toys, who could be, filling up the seats at the theaters, which, obviously adds to box office dollars. Now, come hell or high waters, there's always going to be people interested in, in going to go see Star Wars. But I do think behind the scenes that Disney is realizing a lot of their mistakes by sort of, at least based on the rumors. I'm pretty sure, Rob have heard some of the rumors of JJ retconning some of the things from The Last Jedi.
Yeah, we just heard today that the next one's supposed to take place a year after the last film, and somebody followed.
You tearing the place apart there? What's going on?
Drop my phone's all right. Sorry about
that's all right.
Feel like you're on your chair.
Well, before we go
on chat,
yeah, playing with squirrels. Thank you for the $5 super chat. I listen at work during the week. Yeah. You've helped me through a lot of busy shifts. You're going to get me through my shift on Christmas Eve. Merry Christmas. Oh, well, thank you very much.
We're glad to help.
Yeah, we're glad to help. We realize not everybody has Christmas Eve off and Christmas Day off. Some people, some businesses, some industries, you do have to work, and we're glad we can help make the time passable, make your holiday season a little brighter. So thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you so much, and we're glad to help.
The hunky chunky funky monkey with a £5 super chat. And so I'm offering this simple phrase for kids from 1 to 92. Although it's been said many times, many ways, Merry Christmas to you. Thank you very much, the hunky chunky funky monkey.
Thank you.
Now we have a rule here, Jeff, on Midnight Edge After Dark. Wherever the super chats come from, like £5, we have to spend it on whatever is wherever on something that comes from that country. So we have to go get fish and chips now.
Okay.
Yes,
or you have to get a beer from there or whatever. Yeah.
Oh yeah, we have to get some a nice English bitter beer or
I usually leave it up to Rob.
Jelly babies, like in like Doctor Who. So anyway. So let's continue on with the discussion, gentlemen.
Yeah, I think Jeff brings up a good point from the point of view of a business perspective. None of this makes sense, and we've said this 100 times. But it's good to hear somebody who's actually kind of on the inside of the industry say these things. Not so much that it vilifies us, but it makes fucking sense. And everything that Disney has done to this point makes no sense. Whether it's the Russian troll bots business, whether it's, the Kelly Marie Tran business, whatever it is, they're always behind it in some way, it feels like, So I don't know, I get like a lot of weird vibes every time something comes out anymore. I mean, I hate feeling like I got a tinfoil hat on. But, it's Kevin W. Clark is right. When he says it's for the children, that tells me he has no respect for the property, and he doesn't. I mean, look at all these articles that he listed here and, that Matt Miller's wrote, and the type of shit that this guy tries to push. It's a narrative. It's a definite narrative that the company's trying to toe this line that it's the fans' fault the movie sucks. Don't listen to them. And there's so many people, even people I respect, that buy into this shit. And they should fucking know better too.
Well, but the whole thing was, it's a children's movie. That's a way of dismissing any counter argument. Oh, well, you're getting upset over a children's movie. That's a way of diminishing someone else's argument before they even make it. Right. Like, oh, why are you getting so upset? It's a children's movie. Well, the target, most of the people who bought tickets for The Last Jedi are over 40. I mean,
right.
So and I'll tell you what, rules are very important to everybody, not just adults, children more so, because children understand certain rules more so. And, you look at a lot of kids' movies from years and years ago as opposed to stuff now. The reason the stuff that's older stands up isn't because of nostalgia, and you can say that all you want. No, it's because the shit was aimed at not just, stupid kids. And that's the way that these companies see kids. They see them as stupid kids with no attention span, which in some cases that may be true, and it's not their fault. It's more so the fault of the media and the way they've been presented to and treated all this time by them, just lambasted with all this nonstop nonsense, to where it's like, whatever happened to a simple story the kids can understand, can maybe even learn a lesson from, that makes fucking sense, that is logical, and it's coming from a writer's standpoint, and Jeff can back me up on this one. I don't care what you're writing, whether it's a kid's movie, a horror movie, a period drama, rules are fucking rules, and they're there for a reason, and you need them to be able to construct a story. Otherwise, it's just fucking chaos.
No, I concur with what Tom was saying. Like, when they're doing these films, I feel, I don't know if Rob and Tom necessarily agree with me or not, but I think based on what I've read online, a lot of people feel the same way. It wasn't even about the story. It wasn't really even about Star Wars. It was about it was about, a woman in the lead role. It was about, the forces with her and all this other stuff. And I think that it just took the fun out of it. It really, for me at least, it's just like, well, I don't want to go to a movie and be preached to. It was sort of what I call the Ghostbuster effect with Rey. Yes, and she didn't face any, Snoke said it best in The Last Jedi. I'm gonna paraphrase what he said. He said that he told Kylo Ren that you should be ashamed that you were bested by a girl who had never held a lightsaber before. Snoke was pretty much talking about the fandom and how we felt, because literally Rey should have had her ass handed to her by Kylo.
True.
She had never held a lightsaber before. So you mean to tell me this man who has been trained by Luke Skywalker for years, trained by Luke Skywalker for years, all of a sudden, okay, granted he was hurt, whatever, I'll give you that. But still, he had been trained by Luke for years.
No, she overpowered him from the start.
Yeah,
even through the Force, because he thought the lightsaber was coming to him, and that's where it went past his head.
No, I mean, because remember, Chewbacca shot him. Chewbacca shot him with the plastic.
Well, that's true. Yeah, he was hurt, and he kept his. Yeah,
that's
you're right.
That's what I'm saying. Granted, he was already hurt from that prior to the fight with Rey, but regardless of that,
but even so, like I said, she was stronger with the Force than he was at that point.
Right, exactly. That's my point. That's the beef. That's the issue that I had. That does not make me a sexist or misogynist, etc. No, Rey did not have any challenges. She just knew how to fly the Millennium Falcon. She automatically knew how to use the Force. She just bested Kylo Ren in lightsaber battle. That was pathetic.
Which could have been explained. But they fucked that up in The Last Jedi. Go ahead. Sorry, Rob.
Remember that scene? Remember that scene in The Force Awakens? How did you do that, Ray? I don't know.
Which is fine. You could do that if you explain it down the road. Like if it turns out, oh, she was actually a Solo, and fuck, she's been taught how to fly the Millennium Falcon since she was in a fucking car seat. You know what I mean? Or whatever. It's just, but for her to like all of a sudden just have these powers and no reason. Oh, you're just a nobody. You were never raised by anybody. You're not a Skywalker. You're not a Solo. Well, then where is her fucking powers come from? Where's all this instant memory of like reflexes, like Jeffrey's saying? You know, it's like none of it makes sense unless you explain it later that there's a reason why. And that's where I was willing to give them the benefit of the doubt with the, you know, after The Force Awakens, with all those empty questions and open answer, or, you know, open-ended questions where you're like, okay, how does she know this? Who is she? Where does she come from? Who left her on that planet and why? And everything that made sense was just tossed out with fucking Rian Johnson's script.
Well, the other thing too is you could easily fix these things. You know, you could have said Rey, she pieced together some kind of ship or land speeder or whatever from spare parts. She had her, you know, she worked as a crop duster on Jakku for the moisture farmers. I mean, you could have done something. It was only limited by their own limited imagination. And before we go on, Michael Keller, thank you for the 2 Swiss franc super chat. Wonder what you do with Swiss francs? Cheese and chocolate. That's what we do. That's
well, I gotta
Swiss
imagine,
cheese and Swiss chocolate.
Well, excuse me. There's actually a few super chats. Did you get both of them?
Yeah, Tim Augustin, thank you for the $5 super chat. The media hate makes me think of when Rich Evans from RLM reviewed the Order 1886. He advocated shame and a dick punch for the devs. Oh, jeez.
Yeah. Well, and see, Captain April says, or the Falcon isn't that hard to fly. I don't know about that. Haven't they basically implied that you need a co-pilot? And did she even say that in the fucking movie? And that's the whole reason Chewie's one of the best co-pilots, is because he's big and he's got long arms and he can reach all the buttons and shit that Han can't.
Yes. Well, who needs that when you got Fembot 3000 that's been loaded into the he was listening to Ether Van Skyver.
I don't know, Jeffrey, did you see Solo?
No, I honestly, because of the things that occurred in The Last Jedi, I skipped out on Solo. I haven't even watched it online yet.
Did.
You know, so I just read about it, and I've heard that it was actually better than The Last Jedi. I don't know what you guys think, so
it doesn't probably take as many liberties and fuck with the storyline as much, although it does fuck with it. It's just boring. And it has no color, and the characters are stupid, and Han Solo is a side character in his own movie.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
So they're pretty
Han Solo was not even allowed to be the hero in his own movie. That's pretty much what it came down to.
Wow.
Yeah. I'll give them this though. It will hold up better over time than The Last Jedi. But that's not saying much. I mean, a year from now or 6 months from now, when it's on basic cable in America, and I don't know how it works overseas, but when it's on television, and you can watch it like on a Saturday afternoon or Saturday evening or whatever, and you know, you get to step in and out if you want, and you know, there's less investment in it, you know, because it's already on. People are gonna say, hey, you know what, this isn't too bad, but isn't too bad is kind of a low bar for a Star Wars movie.
Well, I had the same problem I did with Last Jedi, though. When I tried to watch Solo the second time, I got to the part where the robot comes in and I couldn't go any further.
Fembot 3000,
yeah.
To be honest with you guys, and I don't know if you guys agree with me on this, but I feel the best Star Wars movie since Disney has taken over is Rogue One.
Yeah, it is actually. It actually has a coherent plot.
Yeah, I feel like it was Rogue One, and you know, that's just how I tell it to anybody. That's how I felt. If they would have stayed on track and been consistent, like they have been, like they were with Rogue One, I think, you know, they have a pretty solid track record with the fans right now.
You know, I don't know. I don't know about you, but I keep running into this whole thing with a lot of younger people. And when they try to justify, because there's this whole thing about Star Wars, Star Trek is another franchise that is shit the bed recently. And it's just suffered, and Doctor Who suffered from terrible writing. All these are suffering from terrible writing. There seems to be this whole thing now where to justify poor decisions, somebody will say, "Oh, these are fictional characters. You can do whatever you want with it." And I keep telling them
that goes
no,
right back to it's a movie for children. Yeah.
Yeah. And I keep telling them, no, you can't. You cannot do whatever you want. Up is up, down is down. Fire doesn't burn in space.
Well, that's where I said rules are important. You set up rules for a reason. You didn't have Mary Poppins powers before this. Why does Carrie Fisher have the ability to breathe in space and fly? Okay, she doesn't necessarily breathe in space, but you get my point. I mean, even the stuff that I even don't care so much about, like Yoda having, force lightning power as a force ghost, something we've never seen a force ghost do before. No powers whatsoever, prior to that. So I get that argument. I have to concede to that. And you can't just make up fucking rules as you go. Otherwise, it's just like you're playing in the playground with figures, or you're playing the characters yourself, and so-and-so says, we're going to do this now because this is, I got this part, like Cartman in that fucking episode with the weapons.
I got special armor. You like classful armor? Yeah.
And I'm invisible now, and I can see into the future farther than you, and every power everybody he get one better. That's what, like, The Last Jedi feels like. It's like kids are in the fucking playground just making shit up as they go. And there's no logical progression to the characters. They don't make any sense. They don't act pretty much like they do in the first film. And even the Luke Skywalker bit, I have less of a problem with everything up until the very end. I wouldn't have cared if you would have done this, and I've said this a million times, if you would have kept doing this thing with him, like, the Unforgiven thing where I don't want to get involved. I don't want to be a part of this. And then he finally just goes, yeah, fuck, I have to. And he does, and it's like, then we get that moment, that moment everybody wanted, where Luke came back and kicked some fucking ass, not some force vision, not this stupid shit we did get. I just
Jeff, do you ever are you a fan of Futurama?
It's okay. I mean, when it comes to adult animation, I don't know if you watch Big Mouth on Netflix. I like Big Mouth.
I haven't. I love Family Guy, but Futurama, there was an episode where Fry was he created a comic book called Delivery Boy, and whatever the situation called for, he would just add a new ability, and so he had no obstacles. So that's what these new movies, they feel like they're just making up on the fly. No, just kind of just adding it. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, sorry, I cut. There was like a delay. I thought you were finished. Sorry about that.
No, that's fine.
That's what we run into all the time here.
Yeah, crappy internet. But like I said, everything is just they just keep adding whatever power to the skill set that's convenient, or they just make up story elements just so they can write themselves out of a jam, and so they can overcome a problem. And I'm like, that's not how it works.
No, it's not. It ruins the plot and the character development at the same time, for me at least. Like, they've created us. I don't want to see, knock on wood, because I don't want to like sound like we're just bashing people because we're filmmakers, etc. We never know who we're gonna work with in the future, right? But we're just stating what the fandom feels right now, and a lot of it is just like, wow, like, man, like they could have gave us that budget, and I think we would have honored the universe more than that.
Right. Okay, well, Shinyango the Dragon Slayer brings up something I did want to get to. Some people are, and this actually comes from an article. They're trying to say that Solo would have been done better if it had been released now instead of earlier in the year.
Maybe.
No. Fuck no. It's got way more competition now than it even had then. Aquaman's doing well. Whether we like it or not, Spider-Curse is doing well. You got Mary Poppins 2 coming out, or already out. What else opened this weekend? There's something else big. I can't remember now.
Aquaman, Mary Poppins. I don't know. There was a
third movie. But anyway, there's all this competition out there. Not only is there competition, but competition that's getting good word of mouth. And Solo would still get the shitty word of mouth it got to begin with. Yeah, there's a lot of people who are like, oh, it's not as bad as everybody. Yeah, because you were expecting the worst. See, I actually went in expecting it to be better than I thought it was going to be. And it was worse than I thought it was going to be. The only reason that movie is strung together as well as it is and watchable is completely on Opie Cunningham. And that's it. So
Opie Cunningham.
But to say that again about the claim, where Aquaman, etc., is doing good, you have to keep in mind that the release date for Solo was already scheduled well in advance, which allowed Mary Poppins, Aquaman, and the Bumblebee film to take that spot in December, because
that is very true.
That was Star Wars.
A very good point, Jeffrey. Thank you. But
because I'm pretty sure if Solo was scheduled then, these Warner Brothers would have never released Aquaman in December.
Yeah, but they had a lot of other big movies around Solo that they didn't seem like they were afraid. So I mean, you got a point. Don't get me wrong. You definitely have a point. But I don't know if it would have scared them off as much as you think. The only one that probably wouldn't be there would be Mary Poppins, of course, because that's a Disney movie. But even Disney kind of cannibalized themselves when it came earlier this summer too, because what else did they released something else, or last summer it was, right? Yeah, because they released that Pirates movie right near it and something else. I can't remember what it was. Some Pixar movie. I can't remember now. That's how bad my memory is getting, guys. Jeez, we deal with this shit so much. Yeah, thank you for reminding me. Bumblebee was the third movie that's coming out. And that's not tracking real well, but it's getting a lot of good word of mouth. So you got all these movies that are getting very good, and even Mary Poppins is getting good word of mouth.
Mm-hmm.
So
25 years later, Mary Poppins hasn't aged a day.
I'm sorry. To me, Mary Poppins will always just, I can't. I don't know if I can bring myself to watch it.
No.
Any thoughts on Peter Jackson's produced Mortal Engines becoming Critical Bomb? Just 10 years too late, 5 years too late.
The whole YA thing has run its course.
Yeah, and Anthony Altieri brings up the same thing with Jeffrey, but I don't think they'd have been moved as much as people think they did, because like I said, they released a lot of shit around the same time. Deadpool 2 was also released around that time, so I'm trying to get to some of these questions here we got from earlier that are related to Star Wars too. So.
Well, Reverend Burnfried, actually.
Conrad, we haven't seen him in a while. Welcome back to the show. You haven't been around in a while.
He actually, Reverend Burnfried, he sent me a thing on
Twitter.
About they've retconned actually who Anakin Skywalker's father is.
Yeah, we were going to get into that as well. I seen that this morning. Do you have the details there?
Yeah, actually, I heard about this. I found this actually. There's another source here, Dork Side of the Force, taken for it. What they did was they had Palpatine manipulate the midichlorians in order to create Anakin.
We kind of figured that, though.
Yeah,
I did anyway. I mean, the way he explains that story to Anakin about Darth Plagueis being able to figure out how to create life and all that shit.
Yeah.
I kind of figured that's he was basically telling, I'm your daddy. And that's what everybody kind of figured, was that Palpatine was kind of his Force daddy.
Anakin, do you know the story of Darth Plagueis? He found a way to create holes within a condom so the midichlorians will flow and impregnate someone. Oh, I've said too much.
It's more like, do you want to hear the story of the most famous deadbeat dad ever?
I knew your mother, Anakin. One day I was on Tatooine and I had a bottle of Mad Dog 2020. She was a wild one. She was. We got it together with me and Lando Calrissian and
Anthony Altieri. Palpatine may have been his Force father, but he wasn't his Force daddy.
Yeah. Me, myself, Lando, Shmi, Skywalker, and a bottle of Colt 45.
I never thought something that would actually have made me cry in the past would make me laugh in the future, but that is so true. I love that part in fucking Guardians.
He may not have been. He may have been your father, but wasn't your daddy. Boy, I'm a Moag, and there ain't no orb here. That was it. Michael Rooker was so good in that.
He's the fucking bomb. He should have gotten. I'm sorry. He should have got a Best Supporting Oscar nomination for that part. I don't give a fuck what anybody says. He went and took that from one extreme to the other and it was the best character arc, and nobody ever gives it credit because everybody bitches about the second Guardians film. They're like, oh, it wasn't as good as the first one. I was like, are you kidding me? There's so much more depth in the second film than there is in the first one. But anyway, we're getting way off course. Sorry.
Yeah. Right. You look like Mary Poppins. Is he cool? Yeah. I'm Mary Poppins, y'all. That's good. Is he cool? Oh, boy. But anyway, yeah. So anyway, like I said, they retcon Shmi Skywalker, Anakin Skywalker, the virgin birth.
I don't know if you call it retcon, because like I said, we all kind of deduced that from that was the first thing I thought of when I saw the film, episode 3. Like, oh, so that's his dad, kind of.
Yeah.
You know, it's he didn't have sex with Shmi, but he thought about it and they made a baby. Because the whole thing is he's an allegory for Force Jesus, and we know that.
Right.
So Palpatine is supposed to be a stand-in for God. So, and here's the weird thing, in a weird way, is that this whole time I've seen, the thing I didn't like about the prequels that I don't understand with George and what he's trying to say is everything he did in the prequels was paint Anakin, even though he's a whiny little bitch, he's fucking right. And Palpatine is almost to a point too. Yeah, outside of the genocide and shit. The other shit is true. The fucking Jedis are a bunch of fucking hypocrites. The way that George Lucas presented them in the prequels compared to how he presented them in the sequels.
Well, you know, the Jedi, they have their flaws, but you know, they ultimately want to do good for the galaxy. You know,
I can't do George Lucas as good as you can.
No, not quite. It's Kermit. It's up here. Then you just bring it down just a little, and you're very, very, very squeamish. Even though the sad part is, you know, behind doors, that motherfucker is a badass. You know, he's like in control. You don't talk like that behind doors, I bet. I'd love to hear an audio recording of George Lucas when he doesn't think he's being recorded.
he goes, he's like,
oh, thank you very much. Okay, thank you. No, sorry.
Oh, man. I need some cold 45.
Let's get some shit done in here. Come on.
Come on.
You think your slaves now? Wait till I take away your Christmas vacation.
Yeah, this is what we descend into, Jeff, when you're not around. So this is you're getting the Jeff's like, oh, these guys are idiots.
So I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying it.
I know he's listened to us from time to time, so he's kind of prepared. But Saturdays we really let loose. So like I said, it's kind of non-news to me personally, but I can see where certain people are like, oh, you know, wow. But if you never really put it together before, so Comrade Berniford Putin's axe wielder, who's the one who sent you the tweet, says, I thought Vader's dad was someone great, not Palpatine. Palpatine is a little jerk compared to Darth Bane. Darth Bane should be. I know, and that's kind of a fan expectation and fans' hopes and dreams for something. But once that was presented, I kind of knew exactly what Lucas was saying. That's why I'm completely surprised that Snoke hasn't been presented as Plagueis yet. Because you got to imagine that motherfucker regenerated himself if you believe Palpatine's story in the least.
Well, Matt Smith is going to be, they say he's going to be Palpatine reborn. The Doctor Who guy?
I don't know about that.
Well, either that'll be a flashback.
I don't know if JJ, well, that maybe, but see, I have no idea what JJ is going to do with this.
Jeff, any thoughts?
I was upset when Snoke died. In episode 8.
Yeah, well, that whole scene's a big double fuck you to the fans.
Well,
first
that
Snoke gets killed and he's a nobody, and then you find out that Rey is a nobody. So that whole scene, and I've brought this up before, I don't think I brought it up to you, Jeff. That whole scene is basically a fuck you from Rian Johnson to the fans. It's so any fan theory that you had about either one of those two is bullshit.
Well, the fact that Kylo was able to double cross him, it basically implied that Kylo was stronger than the Force than Snoke was.
Yeah, which goes against what happened in the first movie. Yeah,
exactly. So if that was the case, why did he need Snoke to train him anyway? You know what I mean? Like that was, I just didn't. I was scratching my head the whole time when I saw that in theaters. Like, really? You know,
One thing I don't understand, what was with the red background? I'm like, then it was all burned away, and then it got a good view of space. I'm like, just had the outer space like background look more impressive. I mean, geez, talk about like, I don't know. It's so many questionable decisions.
Yeah.
So many. So anyway, so boy. Well, it's all it'll be over in about another year's time. Oh joy! I can't.
Are you guys rooting for Rian Johnson to get his trilogy?
No, we're rooting for him to get his trilogy canceled. Because Tom, what does Rian Johnson? Does he still think his trilogy's still gonna happen?
Of course, my trilogy's still gonna happen. It's the bestest ever. It's gonna divert all expectations.
but
I'm not
Ryan,
even subvert expectations by it not happening. But I haven't gotten that far ahead yet.
But Ryan, what about all the talk about your trilogy being canceled already?
Oh, that's just fake news.
it's fake news.
Fake news.
Fake news.
Total fake news.
But were you at all worried when it looked like Kathleen Kennedy might be fired?
That's also fake news.
Oh, it's also fake news.
It's all fake news. Fake news.
Ryan.
Yes, Kathy.
Tell you, you still want your trilogy, don't you?
Yes, Kathy.
Well, why don't you come here and rub my feet like a good little director?
Yes, Miss Kennedy.
Ooh, Ryan, is that a lightsaber in your pants? Or are you just happy to see me?
No, it's actually a gun in case you started to get fresh with me again.
Ooh, fresh. Thank you, Kathleen Kennedy. Thank you, everybody.
We got a $5 donation, and they probably wish they hadn't have after that. Capital of France says $5. What is the future of movies? George Lucas, Steven Spielberg said too many big budget flops will force new movies online. That is an interesting question. We've kind of covered a lot of this grander scope. A lot of things going to go streaming. I wouldn't be surprised within the next 10, 15 years if you are able to see first run movies in your home for a premium price in theaters at the same time. That is a definite possibility. As far as the flops go, this is the same thing that's happened in Hollywood before. I actually did a documentary before this was Midnight's Edge After Dark about this exact same thing, and this has happened before. Basically in the 60s, when the moguls were dying out, Hollywood was spending more and more money on these big, huge, big budget flops like Cleopatra and big musicals, and they just basically imploded in on themselves, and they just sold out to all the beverage companies and all these other companies that really didn't know how to make movies, but they knew how to market shit. So what they did is they got a bunch of guys like George Lucas and Francis Ford Coppola and Steven Spielberg and who else am I thinking of? All those guys from that era, Scorsese, you name it. All the maverick directors. And they said, here's a bunch of money, go make some movies and we'll sell them. And that's how we got Jaws. That's how we kind of got Star Wars. That's how we got every Martin Scorsese movie. That's how we got every, what's his face who did like, trying to think of his name now.
Name his movie.
Carrie was one of them. Oh, what the hell's his name? Because he was with George Lucas when they were casting, and I can't think of his name. But you had like Toby Hooper come out of this, all those guys, and it was because of those guys that movies became Brian De Palma. Thank you so much. I knew it was Brian something. I'm trying to think of his last name. But yeah, Brian De Palma, all those guys came out of this era where they're like, here, make some movies. And they did. They made some great fucking movies. Movies that are probably arguably better than the golden age of Hollywood, in which ushered in the silver age. And the closest thing we're getting to a bronze age is the Marvel movies. And that's about it. We kind of had a bronze age in the 90s, but it kind of petered out real fast. And that's where I've said digital really kind of came in and killed the soul of movies.
The 90s were the tin age. That's the 90s.
Yeah, I mean, you had a moment there where it was like, okay, we're going to get there, this other new little revolution, and it never happened. It just kind of fizzled out. So what do you think about that, Jeffrey?
Man, my opinion on that. I do think that era was better than the golden age, as you said, because they created a lot of things that are influential, obviously, till this day. I just don't. The studios nowadays, they're cannibalizing themselves. I don't know how you guys feel about that, but
Oh
I
yeah,
feel
we
like
said that.
yeah, they're literally they're cannibalizing themselves. And there has to be. I think that the tech companies are actually saving the industry. I don't know how you guys feel on that
Well,
one.
they're taking it over, that's for sure.
Yeah, rightfully so. You know, Amazon and Netflix and hopefully Facebook, you know, gets into the market a little bit more. But I think that they're actually
They kind of
putting
shot
out
themselves in the foot now. Yeah,
through
I don't know if you heard
Facebook.
about, yeah, with the whole selling our info to people and shit. Yeah, I don't know if you heard about that, but yeah.
I keep saying it, and Jeff, you work in this, you work in that particular medium. I've been saying actually for the last few years that video games are the new Hollywood. They
In a
really
way,
are.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah, it's making more. The video game industry actually eclipsed the movie industry last year, I believe.
yeah, I think it was or the year before too, wasn't it?
yeah, but in terms of storytelling and
Right.
the ability to
Red
weave
Dead
new
is a fucking better story than any movie I've seen this year.
I keep saying to people that the best Spider-Man movie so far was on the PS4.
I still have to get that. Have you played either of those, Jeffrey, yet?
I haven't checked it out yet, but I
Yeah.
am.
Yeah, I got actually I got Spider-Man with a Black Friday deal with PS4, and it is fantastic. It really is. Finally they get. I don't know. The second Spider-Man game for the PS2 was actually really good, but the web swinging didn't feel as intuitive. This actually makes it feel makes it more natural. And like you said, you swing around a big, huge representation of New York,
Right.
and it's actually really, really, really cool. Hey, there's Madison Square Garden. Hey, there's the Flatiron. Hey, there's the Empire State Building.
Superman game. They haven't had a good Superman game since Superman Returns, and that was more like just kind of a base good start for a Superman game.
Yeah. But the other thing too, like I said, Hollywood. I mean, you got a game like Metal Gear Solid. Yeah, the graphics look dated, but that is an incredible story. It really is.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I don't think anyone would have been able to make that as a movie, not just from the purely a technical standpoint, but just from the storytelling aspect of it, that that you're able to just put so much emotion into the story. I think because back in the day, you used to be able to get away with that because, like I said, because the marketing men and everybody weren't so involved. And Jeff, you probably heard me say this. Frank Zappa said back in the 60s and early 70s, you had a lot of experimental music being released. And who was it that was approving that? Not the young hip guys, but the old guys in the suits with the cigars and the feet on the desk. They would say, I don't know what this is. Who knows? Take a chance on it. Put it out there. See if it sells. And then when it's sold, they would say, all right, we took a chance. It sold. We need to do more of it. Go hire a hippie. And they hire the hippie to get coffee and bring in the mail. And then they said, he's a good kid. Give him a real job. And they make him an A&R man. And then the hippie is the guy with the feet up on the desk. And he starts saying, oh, no, we can't take a chance on that because that's not what the audience wants. And I know. And so the hippie, he sort of becomes the final arbiter of taste for the entire audience, the entire country, the movie going public.
Yes, this generation in the industry right now is a lot like that. Not everybody, but a lot.
Not everybody. But you have, like I said, you have guys like Alex Kurtzman, Akiva Goldsman. Who else?
What's her face made that She-Ra shit?
Yeah, Noel Stevenson,
Ryan Johnson,
Michael Bay, Ryan Johnson, all the hip young guys,
JJ
Abrams to a point. All the hip young guys are just like, oh no, I know what the audience wants, and now we're seeing everything that looks the same. It's the same stories over and over again. The look is the same. Everything, they try to make everything look like Game of Thrones because they think this is what the audience want, and they don't. And that, like, the audience really kind of wants things that are different. And I always point this out to Tom. Who was it that approved that approved Star Wars for George Lucas. It wasn't a hip young guy. It was Alan Ladd Jr.,
Yeah.
one of the old Hollywood guys. And what did he say to him? All right,
I don't know
hey,
what that shit is, but I love American Graffiti, so I'll do it.
yeah, exactly.
And he made a shitty deal and got fired over it.
Yeah, it cost him a job. But like I said, that was the decision. But the thing is, he made the decision to. He said, "You know what? I'm going to take a chance on you, kid. I like your moxie. I'm give a chance." Who was it that approved Jaws? I can't remember.
Oh, it was the guy with Sid Sheinberg.
Sid Sheinberg, yeah, another old Hollywood guy. And it used to be also that you had to prove yourself too.
Well, not only that, Jaws had a lot of people behind it. Jaws was like one of those things was going to happen whether Spielberg was around or not. But the reason it worked the way it did was because of Spielberg. I think. Okay. Because they bought the rights to that book before the book even came out. And Spielberg came in into Sid's office and seen it laying on his desk, I believe the story goes. And he said, Jaws, what is that? He thought it was a horror movie about a dentist. Because at that point, Jaws didn't mean anything. That's what he said. He's like, Jaws didn't mean anything at that point. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It didn't have it hadn't even come out as a book yet. So like nobody knew what Jaws was. So he had read the screenplay and he's like, I got to make this fucking movie. This is amazing. And a lot of people even said, I think Richard Dreyfuss said this. He's like, if Steven would have read that script twice, he would have never made that movie. Cause you realize the first time through, it's an amazing read. And even Richard's like almost exact quote was, I don't want to make this movie. I'd love to watch this movie. This movie is going to be amazing, but it's going to be a bitch to shoot. And it was the fucking, probably one of the worst horror stories ever in history of a movie being made. I mean, they were shooting for like what, half a year or better.
Yeah. And the shark wouldn't work. And they had problems with, they had all kinds of problems.
They did a short film that was kind of a parody of the making of the movie, but I want to see a real dramatic movie about the making of Jaws. I bet you there's a really good movie there, but I digress.
So, actually, we got a question from Mind Hunger in the chat. Can you guys please explain to me with Star Trek, Star Wars, and Doctor Who, what is this new bullshit called Defy Expectations? It's just
make up shit that comes out of nowhere for no good reason, and then you can say, "Oh, I'm trying to defy your expectations." But even though it goes against complete logic, basically.
Jeff, you a Star Trek fan?
Not really. My father is, but I'm more Star Wars than Star Trek.
Okay.
I'm not too crazy about it.
Yeah. Well, I was always a big Star Trek fan. So
and a good example of the defining, subverting expectations is look at M. Night Shyamalan's career. The first few movies he did a great job at subverting our expectations. But then we expected him to subvert our expectations. And from that point on, all his movies sucked for that purpose.
I was listening to Howard Stern one time, and he goes, "Yeah, I was watching this movie. I was, I think Gary was in. He said he was watching a movie, and he was in the theater, and people were like, hey, this actually looks pretty good. And then they see on the screen from producer M. Night Shyamalan, and the entire audience in the movie theater goes, "Oh!" just like they were almost sold. Then they saw M. Night Shyamalan, and they were like, "That's why'd you have to go ruin it?"
Hollywood needs to pay attention to that, because that's a real true story of how you watched a guy go from the very top. Because The Sixth Sense is in the top, I think, still in the top 5 or 10 highest grossing films of all time, if I'm not mistaken. It was for a while anyway. Right. And this guy was huge. He was coined to be the next Spielberg before JJ came around. Do you remember that?
Oh yeah, I remember the next Spielberg.
Yeah, so and exactly what he did is what these franchises are doing. It's like he went to a point where he's like, I know I got to throw in something here that's a twist. It's got to be a twist. There's got to be a twist. And people expected it so much that everything started turning to shit. To where I think everybody got up to about The Happening, and they're like, all right, this guy's done with. He's a hack. You know what I mean? And then he went back to his fucking roots. And that's where he made his little comeback. And the movie he did that with was The Visit or whatever, and he didn't have his name all over it, or at least the studio didn't let him have his name all over it. I have not seen the movie, but I've heard very good things about it. Have you seen it, Jeffrey? The Visit?
No, I haven't seen it. I stopped watching his movies a long
Yeah, well, see, most people didn't realize that was one of his movies, and I've
Right.
heard good things about it. And then that kind of got him back in a place where Split, they were able to broadcast, this is an M. Night Shyamalan movie, but trust us, you're going to like it. Why? Because he went back to his roots. He went back to Unbreakable. He went back to that kind of stuff to where we're back in that world now. He's back in his game. You know, it'd be like if Michael
Back in his element.
Yeah, and it'd be like when Michael Jordan came back, if he was like as good as or better than he was back in his prime. Because I loved Split, and I love the idea of what we're getting into with Glass. To me, that's really good, you know, filmmaking there. But
well, it reminds me, like you said, you know, I don't know, Jeff, how familiar you are with Star Trek Discovery that we always talk about. You were talking about, and Thomas talked about Defy Expectations. There was a couple moments where in Star Trek Discovery this last season where it almost started to feel like Star Trek. There were a couple of really good character moments. They showed the captain like actually showing some concern for his crew, and then within that same scene, they showed the doctor getting his neck broken because they had to subvert expectations. And we need to kill somebody here, otherwise people are gonna get bored. So yeah,
see that. As we already said before, like I hate when they do stuff like that because it just makes zero sense. And I don't want to say too much because I do have like representatives from like agencies from WME, CAA on my Facebook page, and some managers. So I have to be careful with what I say because like that's you know what I mean. Like I can't.
No, that's totally understandable. Our opinions do not reflect yours. In case anybody's listening, we'll just say that
the opinions of Midnight's Edge do not necessarily reflect the opinions of Jeffrey Thompson or his representatives.
Their opinions don't reflect on us either. So it's it's kind of a mutual.
Well, I mean, but see, that's and for you guys to even say that is a problem within itself because
we have
you should be allowed to have your own opinion about something.
Well, we do, and we do to a point
without backlash.
I understand it, but we've gotten backlash for our opinions plenty of times, and it comes with the territory. But as far as that's where we avoid, the real hot topics like political stuff and just stuff, and then we stay out of the radar of like the Patreon, YouTube stuff. So much more. I mean, we're still on the radar as far as YouTube goes, but we haven't been sucked up in this Patreon shit yet.
Thankfully. Yeah. Because,
somebody's going to feel like this. If somebody makes a crappy movie, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they politicize the movie like they've done in Star Wars. That, my friend, is always going to receive. You're always going to receive backlash when you do that. And honestly, mark my words. I believe because of everything with Captain Marvel that this is going to be the start of the decline of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And I believe that with Aquaman, this is going to be the start of the rise of the DC universe.
You really think so, huh?
That's my opinion because they're really promoting that her stuff with Captain Marvel. It just rubs me the wrong way. Like it really does. Like let her stand on her own merits. Like, and I'm sorry, but if I'm calling it right now, if something happens in Avengers Endgame where like Captain Marvel beats Thanos by herself, that's it for me. That's it.
You're not alone. I've heard a lot of people say that, but
that's it for me.
I hope that
I've been hearing that that's what's going to happen. That it's basically going to come down to a one-on-one with Captain Marvel and Thanos, and she's supposed to just hand him his ass. That's going to be it for me.
I hope you're wrong because I think Uncle Kevin's smarter than that. He's set up enough with Gamora and Nebula to where I think they're going to have a big part in it. But I hope you're wrong. I mean, I'm not.
I hope my.
I know you're wrong.
Because if that happens, I'm pretty sure you guys are going to be all over it.
Yeah, of course.
Man.
No, Jeff. I got to ask you though. Now, I don't know. Do you get to see? Do you get to go to the movies a lot? Where you are right now in your part of the world?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. Is there? I don't know how much you remember. Is the biggest difference?
I don't think you said you're over in Europe, did you? Or did you, Jeff?
No, I'm in Poland right now.
Or Poland, I mean.
Okay. What would you say is how big a difference is there between seeing a movie over there as seeing it in the States? Would you say?
Well, it's interesting because when would go see a Star Wars movie, that the theaters would be half empty.
Really?
Whereas in America, it would be
No,
packed.
that's not abnormal in the last two.
Yeah, it would be packed. Like there's a in this specific culture, they don't necessarily idolize a lot of there's not a lot of huge fandom like it is in America or some of the Western European countries. This is more Central Eastern Europe, so they've had communism and things like that, so they're not really. It's second world. It's considered second world here.
Yeah, they probably haven't had Star Wars as long as we've had it.
There you go. There you go.
When the Berlin Wall fell and the Iron Curtain came down, that's when all the Western stuff started leaking over.
And by then, Star Wars was kind of dead.
Yeah.
I don't know if Tom's told you, but I'm a huge fan of the Beatles, and there was a documentary about called "How the Beatles Rocked the Kremlin," and what they would do is they would take old X-rays and they would record the songs off of Radio Belgium, and then they would press them onto the X-rays and sneak them around in the sleeves and sell them on the street. Comrade, I have Beatle record, good record, you buy 10 rubles just for you. I swear to God, they couldn't get electric guitars, so they had to make their own guitars, and they would break the public phone and steal the magnet out of the microphone end. And there you got a magnet. And the propaganda speaker, they go up and steal the propaganda speaker. Like, oh, I got a speaker for an amplifier now. So they actually had to make all their own stuff. But the band couldn't stop them though. They found a way. They all found a way to it's just such an interesting documentary about how, even though in such under such oppressive conditions, it's still, that Western influence, and that still has a way of permeating through the Iron Curtain like that, though. It's actually even if you're not a fan of the Beatles, I mean, even like I said, it's still an interesting watch. It gives you a good indication of what things were like, because a lot of them said that, listen, we grew up, Europe was Moscow was another European city. It was an exciting time. The space race, Yuri Gagarin was the first man in space. Khrushchev, we will bury you. He said it was an exciting time for the Soviet Union. Then a bunch of old men took over, and that was it. So he goes, there was nothing interesting about what they were doing. So. Yeah, that was Natasha Klocher. Yeah, they call them ribs. And they said, "I have ribs." Yes, there was actually. I've told this to Tom quite a few things. I was gonna do like communist movie reviews from my old podcast that was on. Yes, comrade, I go to see movie. I go to see Captain America. This is a very sad movie. Very sad. Red Skull. He was real hero of movie. Yeah, comrade. I go to see movie. I go to see how you say, with Frog, Pig, and Great Gonzo. Muppets. I go to see very much. I'm liking this movie, Muppets. just all this kind of the worst kind of like communist stereotypes we could think of. But anyway, that's
we're just a ball of stereotypes here. That's the problem.
Oh yeah.
Oh Lord.
Yeah. Come stand up. Now you know why it's hard for me to get stand-up gigs. So.
Speaking of stand-up gigs, I got a joke for you. Remind me.
Okay. All right.
I can tell you right now.
It's
clean enough. One thing you've learned, because this goes with your dating bit.
Yeah.
Learned in your dating bit, in your world of dating, is do not buy women clothes, no matter what. It's a trap.
It is. It's a trap. Yes,
it's a trap. Either you buy something too big and they think you're saying that they're fat, or you buy something too small and they're crying the rest of the night because they can't fit in it.
That's true. The best thing I learned is gift cards. Get them a gift card.
Yep, gift cards or something. Jewelry.
Gift card. Jewelry's always the right
side.
You
can work that in your bit there. I figured.
In Soviet, Mecca. In Soviet Russia, movie watches you. That's okay. $50, like a $50, $100 gift card to Victoria's Secret. That way you both can enjoy.
Yes, that's a win-win.
Yeah, it's win-win-win. Oh, brother. So anyway, what else we got to talk about here?
Well, let's take some questions. We got a little time. We've been only on for an hour, so we don't want to drag it out too much longer. But
yeah,
You guys have been such a great chat. We want to try and get in as many questions as we can here.
Yeah, and Jeff's been a great co-host today too. So
Yeah,
thank him. Like thank him for joining us.
Oh well, I thank you guys for having me. Like I said, you guys are just funny.
Well, I love Jeffrey's opinion too. So.
It's plain and simple funny.
So you get, and just be thankful he didn't add looking after funny. So
we have Geetsleys in the chat.
Who's Geetsleys?
I've never. Yeah, I don't know.
Who's Geetsleys? Got a check mark though.
Yeah. Well, welcome to our chat.
Welcome to Geetsleys or whomever you are.
Sorry, you. We don't know you. We don't get around much. We don't get out. We don't get around much. Yeah.
No, Tim, don't get me started about Trevor Noah.
Trevor Noah. Didn't I see something about him the other day? I'll try to remember what it was. Then maybe I can get you going on it.
Well, they tried to have him on the live stream about the Battlefield 5 thing, and he just had no idea what he was talking about.
Maybe that was it, but Michael Keller, Tom, you idiot. That's where you're supposed to sneak in not your wife, your girlfriend, Michael Keller. That's how it works. It's got to be it's a girlfriend joke, not a wife joke. It doesn't matter when you're married. By the time you're married, there's no excuse. Yeah, you should be able to do that. Hey, Stephanie, welcome to the chat.
Hey, Stephanie.
Captain's here already too. So
there's that old toast, around the holidays to our wives and girlfriends. May the two never meet.
Oh man.
After 2018 Halloween success, will we see another slasher Titan? Oh yeah, Rogue Knight. That's coming. Jeffrey, this is kind of your domain since you're big. You write horror, of course. We're working on Bubbleheads. Well, it's called Legend of Caracol Road now, right?
Yes, Legend of Caracol Road. Remember, LeBron James Company is supposed to be producing another Friday the 13th film.
Yeah, I think they're on board with Warner Brothers on that.
Yeah. I think that's gonna be okay. What do you guys think? It may gross more than this Halloween film, honestly.
It's plausible. This Halloween film was it did shit that every other franchise has tried to do to this point. And that is get the old fans' butts in the seat and get a bunch of new fans' butts in the seat. And it did. Because it grossed more than the entire franchise had to this point all together, including Rob Zombie's movies.
Right.
So
right. I mean, there was some, as Tom, me and you discussed before, there was a lot of shots and there were whole scenes that they had taken from other Halloween films and just basically put it in this movie right here.
I didn't really care for the movie as much, but I see what it did and I see how it did it, and it did it in a way, in the same way The Force Awakens did, in a sense. Right. That it kind of reintroduced it to an old crowd and brought in a bunch of new people, but now, unfortunately, hopefully the next Halloween movie when they do it, or the next slasher revival that comes out, which I'm sure we're going to get a buttload of them. We talk about it on Talking Horror, which we do plan on having Jeffrey on again, or have on the show at some point here on the horror show to talk more about horror stuff. But we got that damn Child's Play remake. And here's the thing that's pissing me off about that. And that's something we might talk about the next horror show we do, which I think we're taking this week off, but next time, is that they're trying to sell this Chucky or this Buddy like he's the new Chucky, like there hasn't been a Chucky in years. They're boasting they're using practical effects like it's some new innovation or something, like they're going to throwback. It's like, dude, Chucky is still a fucking round. He's got a series coming out. They have been making movies. It's not like Chucky's been dormant collecting dust all this time like you're acting. And that's something that really bothers me. I don't know how you feel about it, Jeff, but maybe we'll have to have you on the next show to discuss that with us too.
Well, I grew up with Child's Play, and I'm with the original creator of it. I know he said that he's not too happy with what
he's not
doing, and I think it was kind of disrespectful to not at least consult with him about this. So I'm gonna go on the side of the artist with this one.
Right, but we'll definitely get into that more on Talking Horror. So, all right, let's take a couple questions and then we'll head on out. Rob, anything good in the chat?
Well, Demon's Reflection said he wanted to know why should he go see Spider-Verse. I got this DLC Spider-Man to enjoy. You know what? The more I think about it, the more the whole self-referential kind of humor kind of rubs me the wrong way. You know what I mean? Kind of it's trying too hard to be Deadpool for kids.
Kinda, I got the same vibe. Have you seen Spider-Curse yet, Jeffrey?
Into the Spider-Verse?
No, I haven't.
Okay.
A lot of people like it. Don't get us wrong. Even
like
in our review, we said we can't recommend people don't go see it. Go see it for yourself. Make your own own mind up. And we had a lot of comments come back saying, you guys are crazy. We don't know what fucking movie you're watching, which we said the same thing on the other side. We also had a lot of people come in and say, well, I don't agree with you, but we respect your opinion, which is cool. That's the kind of, repertoire we like to have more so. Is that the word I'm looking for? No.
Rapport.
Thank you. Sorry. I'm horrible with words.
That's
and
right.
if you haven't figured that out. Anyway, so, and then we've also had ones that are like, oh, I totally agree with you. And I'm glad you said that because I was afraid to say it because everybody else is sucking this movie's dick so hard that they can't, take the dick out their mouth long enough to say, it actually kind of sucks, And I know Rob can probably.
Well, one of the things I noticed is that, it was written by Phil Lord.
Not the dick sucking part, but the other part that it sucks.
Ooh, hello. No, but
not that there's anything wrong with that.
Not that there's anything wrong with that. But it's written by Phil Lord, and Phil Lord was in one half of the guys who did Solo, a Star Wars story. And now if people are clamoring for a Phil Lord and Chris Miller cut of that movie, I should say, after seeing Into the Spider-Verse, we're pretty lucky we dodged that bullet. I got to say, I have no idea. Just by seeing how Into the Spider-Verse turned out, I do not want to see their version of what Han Solo would look like because it's got to be a mess. It has got to because they had no idea what kind of movie they were making when they made Solo. They thought they were making a comedy and they were supposed to be making it, and they were hired to make an action adventure movie. And the whole thing is, like I said, they did the Lego movie. They did how many Lego movies did they do? They did Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs.
Yeah, they did that one. They did that franchise.
Yeah. And actually, Phil Lord and Chris Miller, they wrote for television for a long time. Let me just look up their screenwriting credits just a second while I stretch. Phil Lord, Chris Miller, because neither one of them seems to work without the other. And okay. Phil Lord, Chris Miller, IMDb. Okay, Phil Lord, Christopher Miller. Here we go. They actually wrote, like,
they just wrote it. Yeah.
Yeah. Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, the Lego movies. Something called Extreme Movie. Cloudy with a Chance of 21. They did 21 Jump Street.
And 22, yeah.
Yeah, it's Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs.
And 2. I do like 21 and 22 Jump Street, and I did like the Lego movie. I just didn't care for this.
Storts, Brigsby Bear, they actually were producers on the Lego Batman movie and Lego Ninjago movie. Something called Smallfoot.
They're good filmmakers. I'll give them that. They're good filmmakers.
Well, they're good at what they do.
Right.
Which is, again, that sort of self-referential treatment. And they also did a lot of television. They did Clone High. They did Brooklyn Nine-Nine. They did Son of Zorn. Really? Wow, no wonder it was canceled. They actually wrote quite a few episodes of the sitcom How I Met Your Mother, which is another kind of like self-referential kind of meta humor thing. I don't, like I said, the whole thing about the whole meta humor and the whole, self-referencing and trying to be clever, that is good for a character like Deadpool. It doesn't work with every character, and for me, it is not what I want out of a Spider-Man movie. That's me. I know how people like that kind of ironic kind of storytelling and everything, but to me, after about 10 minutes, it gets way too clever for its own good and starts to get up its own ass. I don't know about you, Tom, but that's kind of the way I kind of look at that.
And as far as Spider-Verse goes, you mean?
Yeah, Spider-Verse, yeah.
Yeah, I got that kind of mentality out of it. And then, of course, well, the whole thing, just, I don't get, I guess I'm at this point where, and I don't like saying it because I don't like to generalize any people at all that like the movie. But it's like, I look at this movie and it's like, are you guys not seeing how you're being pandered to, and how, like you just said, it kind of is up its ass, and it's, like we've talked about the fact of like how Aunt May looks just like Amy Pascal, and she's the key to the Spider-Verse, and
she's holding the keys to the franchise.
I don't see how people don't see this. It's like, okay, you were given something shiny, so you're just gonna forget all the other stuff, I guess. I don't know. And like I said, I don't like to generalize people at all, because I do understand certain points of this movie as to why people like it. Even people I respect like this movie, much like The Last Jedi, even more so, because there's a lot more people who like this movie. We are definitely in the minority on that. Yeah. We are one of the few critics who have come out and said, if you can actually consider us, well, we are technically professional critics. We get paid to do it. So whatever.
Reviewers.
Whatever. We still get paid to do it, so it don't matter. We're technically professional. We could go and be on Rotten Tomatoes if we really wanted to, because of the main channel. But we haven't discussed it too much with Andre yet. But it's just like, I don't get this. I don't understand why we're the only ones who aren't afraid to kind of be critical about it. Even if it's just from the technical aspect of, yeah, you made something that looks kind of like a comic book, that's great. But did you think about how it's making people sick? And
No,
and I'm not kidding, Jeffrey, that we've had people tell us that there have literally been people who've gotten sick from watching it. I got a headache from watching it. Rob said he got a headache from watching it. I saw it in 3D, and I've seen scenes in both 3D and 2D. And I will say, at least in the 3D version, shit doesn't seem as out of focus and stuff, I guess, because it's lends itself a little better to that technology.
Jeff, do you know, how much do you know? I mean, have you seen trailers or previews of this movie?
Oh yeah, I've seen that much.
What they tried to do is, and I don't know if you've heard us say this, what they've tried to do is they have tried to replicate the effect of a comic book that when it's been printed, the plates are slightly out of alignment. And so the colors are just a little bit askew. Everything's just a little blurry.
Well, and my other issue was how they tried to take everything that's 3D and try to make it look even more like 2D, when it's like, why don't you just make a 2D animated comic book looking movie? Then it probably wouldn't have been as headache inducing, because the jerky, that's the thing. Some people bitch that we bitch about this, but it has this jerky stop motion, go motion style animation to it. And with all the fast action and everything that's going on constantly, it gets really bad.
Parts of it almost look like Wallace and Gromit. That's what it reminded me of.
Right. See, I can't even watch it here because it's aimed at kids, so it's in Polish language. Pretty much all.
So they don't have it in English at all.
Yeah, so they don't have it in English at all. So I got to pretty much wait until it comes out, online in English. So I can't watch it. I can't watch any animated movies here because they're in Polish.
Bummer. Well, then again, you're kind of dodging a bullet in our opinion. But hey, like we said, we want to be able to let people decide for themselves. It's not like we want to stop. This is one of those few movies where we wouldn't go, don't go, because we're just saying, you got to be able to form your own opinion. But I just don't see how other people aren't seeing what we're seeing, I guess. I don't know. I'm not trying to sound all elitist or anything like that either.
Well, my opinion of Sony and the characters that they own with Marvel is that they've always been, I will say this, and a lot of people may disagree with me, I think that they made better Marvel films with their Spider-Man characters than Fox did with their X-Men and Fantastic Four overall. Overall, I mean, you could, for argument's sake, you could truly debate it.
Yeah,
they have a debate when you compare their Marvel films.
The only problem is you have a little more
to Fox
to bring to the table.
Right. I just don't understand. Like, see, people that pay attention to the comic books and especially the cartoons of the 90s, in Fox's case, I just don't understand how anyone can say that they made great X-Men films.
No, you're right. There's probably 3.5 great ones.
No, great. Define great on a scale from 1 to 10.
Well, see, here's the difference between you and I, Jeff. Is you, and this is one we actually did a show way back when we still weren't live. We were just doing little pod videos or whatever, where you and I had talked about X-Men, and I know you're very diehard about that. You want it to stay to the book. I, on the other hand, can see it, look at it from a perspective of you got to adapt it to the film universe and for a market and a vast amount of people, not just one set group of people that are comic book fans and follow the comics, because you have to be able to set this shit up. So to me, the first X-Men movie is okay. The second movie is probably one of the best. Logan is the best, even though that's probably one of the farthest from what the comics were. Same thing with Days of Future Past is probably the next best. And that, again, is way different than what the comics are, but I understood why they did it. Other than that, the rest could be kind of just tossed to the wolves and their shit, unless you want to count Deadpool, which I do like the Deadpool films, but
right.
I kind of count those kind of off in their own kind of thing.
I don't even count Deadpool under Fox's banner simply because Fox when Rothman was there, they didn't even want to make Deadpool. Reynolds literally fought tooth and nail, him and Tim Miller, to get Deadpool made.
Oh, of course, we have videos.
And now they're trying to basically piggyback off that success when originally they didn't even believe in that film. Also, another thing is that I used to argue people tooth and nail that Marvel and Feige can make a better X-Men film than Fox can.
Oh, I'm sure they will.
The proof is already in the pudding due to the success of Avengers Infinity War, because the Children of Thanos, they had a lot of similar powers and abilities of some of the X-Men characters, and they turned out fine and dandy, in my opinion.
Right, you have accepted. I noticed. I will say, in your defense, you have accepted a little bit more of the changes in the Marvel universe. I know that from our personal conversation, so I will say.
Well, I've accepted the changes is because there may be changes to storyline, but when it comes to like abilities and skill set and the characters,
there's a logic.
It's more true to the comic books than it is like. They were told not to even read the comic books on the set of X-Men by Bryan Singer. The actors were.
Oh yeah, because he notoriously was not a fan.
Yeah, so why do the film if you're not a fan? I mean,
because they knew they wanted him to come in because he was. I'm going to tell you this and then people are going to hate it. They wanted him to do it because he was gay. I guarantee it. No, I'm serious on this because they've seen the whole idea of the mutants thing. Oh, what's the modern civil, because X-Men came more out of the civil rights movement. If you look at the overall story, that's kind of what it's an allegory for. So Fox and whoever, was like, okay, so what is the new thing now since the civil rights movement isn't a thing? Okay, well, it's homosexual rights and da-da-da-da-da. So, okay, see the mutants as gay. Well, who's the big up-and-coming gay director? Bryan Singer, get him. That's exactly how it went, probably. I might be wrong. I'm sure there's other steps, but...
Well... He was probably a good choice, but at the same time, he also had that going for him.
All he had done before that, though, was a couple movies. None of them were on the same level.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
No, and that's not the problem. And he did a great job with what he had at the time, all personal bullshit aside. Because what I think of him personally, I'm not even going to get into. But what he did with the first two X-Men movies can't be overlooked in a time where, let's face it, there was no way you were going to be able to do yellow spandex.
No.
And people take it seriously at that time.
I disagree. I don't know. If you can do
you'd have done it in a way that it would have been
a costume, you can get away. Come on now. Like him and
now it's a little different. See, I could see Kevin Feige coming up with something that makes it work. That's what he's done with the Marvel universes. I can see where he took Cap's basic costume and made it work, made it logical. Right. Or the writers did, you know what I mean? Or the designers. There's a difference here. It's not the big old boots. It's not just a rubber fucking suit. It actually has a reason. It's a bulletproof, get up. It's like almost like basically the kind of gear that was light years ahead of where they were, and that was the whole point.
I just got a feeling that he's gonna make it like when the deal, is finally is finalized. I have a feeling that Feige is pretty much gonna make us forget about Fox.
I'm surprised they're letting Dark Phoenix get released. I am very surprised.
I am too.
Because in the U.S. is one of the only places we've seen so far, because they dropped Chinese trailer earlier today?
International trailer. Looks Japanese, actually.
Yeah, but it's the same.
It might be Chinese. I don't know.
It's almost the same basic trailer we got a couple months back. And frankly, it's weird because, and I said this to Rob too, I saw the poster. Nowhere in the U.S. stuff does it say X-Men anything on it.
It's they don't have faith in the film.
Well, it's not so much that. I think it came down from Disney that they cannot call it X-Men anything because, we'll let you release it, but it's just the final cap on your Fox X-Men movies, and that's it.
And you know the sad thing about Fox is that during this whole time, for like they arguably had the best villains in the Marvel universe with Dr. Doom, Apocalypse, and the Galactus.
Right. And
they had better villains. They had better villains overall than what Marvel had. And they did not even capitalize off of it.
No. Well, they did have, I think the thing with the whole, they couldn't really cross over, I think, X-Men and Fantastic Four right away because Constantine Films had rights on Fantastic Four. I know that. But I think Fox turned around or somebody turned around and bought out their rights on it or something like that. Or what happened? I don't know if you know, Rob. But
I don't know. Technically, I think Constantine still has the rights to the Fantastic film.
But they have a deal to where they can't make a movie without Fox no matter what.
Yeah, they have the distribution deal with Fox. And so I think it's a matter of
so they Disney can come to a stalemate, but yeah.
I think it's a matter of Disney saying to them, listen, since we own Fox now, essentially Fox makes the movies on their behalf, really.
Well, I wonder if it's going to be a little bit before we see Fantastic Four, because I have a feeling if the Constantine Films license carries over with the Fox sale, because I don't know how that works exactly. I'm sure we'll find out. I have a feeling Disney will just buy their side out. It's just so they don't have to fuck with it.
Maybe that's part of the part of the merger.
That's what I was saying. If through the sale, then that it gets null and void. Maybe, I don't know. It all depends. Because there's people who've come to me and said, well, if Apple buys Sony, then the rights to Spider-Man revert back to Fox or
Marvel.
Jesus Christ, Marvel. I knew what I meant. Revert back to Marvel, and I'm like, I don't know about that because it all depends. Because I know you've talked about this before, Rob, and we've tried to figure this all out before. Because it has more to do with whether they're buying a certain portion of the company or the entire thing. And for the rights to Spider-Man 2, and they could be right, because for the rights for Spider-Man to revert completely to Apple, if they were to buy Sony Pictures, they would have to buy all of Sony, not just Sony Entertainment.
Yeah,
right. That's kind of my understanding, anyway.
Mm. Well, like I said,
I don't know if you have any insight on that, Jeff, since you're more on the inside, but
I haven't discussed with my guys that are there about it specifically. It is a rumor that's floating around, but
right.
I'm waiting till the holidays before till the holidays over with before I start digging back deep in, and I do follow-up calls and meetings with people. So
right, because there was a lot of people saying that since Fox wasn't selling its whole entire assets as a whole, the Marvel rights would have reverted back to Marvel regardless who bought Fox at one point. And that's very plausible. We don't have access to the contracts. All that is in the contracts, of course. And that's not what Andre would say is, I'm not privy to that information, but I can assume, or I can, deduce that the possibility of this, that, or the other is there.
The best we can do is make educated guesses, really.
Well, we made some pretty good educated guesses about what we've been hearing now leaking out about the whole Daredevil or Marvel Netflix shows. They got a 2-year window that they can't do shit. But again, we don't know if that 2-year window happens to coincide with the movies or not, because one person I seen said something about they fucked up because they would have had to put them in the movies while the shows were running. So I don't know. So I don't know how that all works. And then again, you look at it as well, is Marvel going to actually even bother using them in the movies? And I doubt it. So I don't know.
Well, they got so many more characters. They really don't need to use them in the movies.
That's just it. And they can probably get away with doing animated versions of some of them.
And
other avenues.
Speaking of animation, what do you guys? Well, I know this is old news, but what were your feelings on when they canceled that Deadpool animated series?
Oh, we did. That was one of our bigger videos.
Yeah, we got like what 100,000 views on that or something.
I don't know if it's 100, but it might be now. I'd have to look. But the Taylor Swift one, I think that had more to do with Disney than we know, or at least they were saying. Even though everybody was kind of blaming it on behind the scenes bullshit to do with like not pissing off certain people, and I think one of those people were Disney, to be honest with you.
Got you. Yeah.
Well, not only that, I think Disney wanted to be able to control whatever was going to go forward, and that show was not going to be ready to air until after the merger was probably through. And it was probably a goodwill move on Fox's part, because we've heard rumors, and I don't know, I think even Ryan Reynolds confirmed this, that there was like 2 or 3 Disney jokes that had to get cut out of Deadpool because Fox told them Disney didn't want them.
There was actually also a Kylo Ren joke that got cut out of Ralph.
Yeah, that's still in house mostly already, but this was actually across studios.
Okay,
right. Because they still are, Fox is still Fox. They still the merger isn't completely finalized yet. It's in the final phases, but it won't be done until early next year or whatever.
I'm actually happy about about Disney buying out Fox simply because I want to see the X-Men into this MCU.
There's
Yeah.
ups and downs. There's ups and downs. We're seeing some of the ups and we're seeing some of the downs already. The downs being this PG-13 Deadpool bullshit, which I get it. Some of the proceeds are going to charity, but let's face it, guys, this is nothing more than testing the waters for PG-13 Deadpool down the road. And people are like, oh, well, that just means they'll release an R-rated version and a PG-13 version. It doesn't work that way. I have to double check the exact rules unless somebody out there knows better than me right off the bat, who's worked in a theater or knows anything about distribution or anything like that. But they will not do a version where they have an R-rated and a PG-13 version in theaters at the same time.
No, that doesn't. No, it doesn't work.
They won't allow that. In the past, it's always had to be so much of a window between the two.
Right. Right. I don't know who said that. I mean, probably somebody that's not in the industry, but it doesn't work. Like
exactly, because I know there's rules to that. Theater, at least theaters have rules, one or the other, to where they will not carry both at the same time.
Plus, you're competing against yourself, really.
Well, there's too much confusion also in the market. That's another problem, and you have the problem of people possibly accidentally going into the R-rated version instead of the PG-13 version. You can even look at possible, legal issues and God knows what else.
Yeah, Captain April says there's a Disney joke in the trailer for the PG-13 Deadpool.
Yeah, people have told me about that, and it's true. It's fucking true. I'm not kidding. I mean, people keep, oh no, it's just for this, that. No, it's not. No, it's not. It's completely to test the waters to see if people would have went and seen it. Yeah, they enticed them a little bit out, and they gave them a good reason for the charity and all that kind of shit. But believe you me, the best thing that happened to that is I don't think it's doing that well. No, I haven't yet to look at the last numbers.
I think 2.5 million.
I think at the most it's made 3, which, yeah, that's nothing to bulk at necessarily, but I don't think it's the numbers they were looking for.
Right, considering the potential of the franchise and what it's worth already, then yeah.
Right, they'll blame a lot of it on competition and other shit like that. And then, like Captain April says, the possibility what will happen is we may get an R-rated or unrated version on Blu-ray. That's very plausible. But me, I'm pissed off because I was all for this Fox merger because I thought the whole point of doing this is so Disney had an avenue to do a more adult entertainment, and they weren't going to fuck with things that worked like Deadpool. And at this point, they're kind of proving me wrong, and I don't like that. And there's other business going on now with this whole Fandom Menace shit that we just talked about at the head of the show that's really kind of gotten to me with Disney lately, to where it's really kind of getting me pissed off at how they're doing their business. And we have proof that we have actual proof that they're willing to do shit like this because of the whole crap they pulled on, what was it, the LA Times, over the whole Disney, where they were critical over the spending on the park or whatever it was. And
yeah.
They took away their critics' early previews and shit like that. Yeah, Disney can be scum, that's for sure, Nicholas Deckens.
He said oh my god, it's so funny.
I got a love-hate relationship with them just like I do George Lucas, I'll tell you that much.
Well, according to a Hollywood Reporter, though, I mean, it says that Deadpool will remain R-rated after the Disney.
They have said that a lot, and I don't think they won't,
yeah.
But don't think that if this wasn't a big hit, that they wouldn't have thought more about it. Because look at what happened to Venom all of a sudden. That was fucking weird. And we don't talk about that.
But not for nothing. That's Sony, though. That's a Sony property.
I get that, but why the fuck would they do that? Something didn't make sense there. Something didn't. I don't know.
Because because I told you people that I don't want the potty mouths in the movies. Don't you know that, Tom?
Well, we know that the whole inspiration for this was both Deadpool and Logan. But they wanted to do a hard R Venom.
Oh, that hard R Venom. Oh, you think so it's all the violence in that. You know,
and if you think you're going to do PG-13 from the start, then why didn't they just make a deal with Marvel to where this was part of the Marvel universe so you could have him in a Spider-Man movie later? Or have Spider-Man in this. It just, to me, it just makes nothing is, some things aren't adding up to me. And this is what we do here, and this is the kernel of where shit starts. So this is where I'm trying to figure out. There's dots here we're not seeing. And it's something we haven't really got into much because we just kind of ignored Venom after it came out. And a lot of America seemed to do that, though, even though it was a huge hit everywhere else, too. And a huge hit here. And I know Sony's greedy, Billy Barnett, but think about it. Logan and Deadpool made buco fucking bucks on R-rated comic book. That was the whole reason that movie got greenlit now as opposed to prior to this. And it was meant to be an R-rated movie no matter what those fucking reports say after the fact. Because everybody, including Tom, was saying, oh, yeah, we're doing an R-rated. He's biting off heads. He's doing, all this stuff. And that was the whole thing, is they were taking advantage of the fact that it wasn't going to be connected to Spider-Man. Which that was one of the only things I was like, well, I guess if you're going to go out, just go out.
I like Lucas personally.
Well, I like him, but I have very big issues with some of his Hollywood politics and his hypocrisies and how he won't allow us to have the original Star Wars trilogy and all that kind of shit.
Did you ever hear the story of George Lucas the Wise? George Lucas was a writer-director so powerful and so wise that he could influence words on a page to create classics. He became so powerful that the only thing he was afraid of losing was his company, which eventually, of course, he did. Unfortunately, he taught Kathleen Kennedy everything he knew about episodes 7 through 9, and then she killed him in his sleep. It was ironic. He could save the prequels, but not the sequels.
You've seen episode 3 too many times.
Where can I learn this power? Not from Disney.
Tom does a good impression of the snowman from Rudolph. He goes, "It's about George."
Heard the story of Darth Plagueis the Wise? Well, pull up an iceberg and I'll tell you. No. Kevin W. Clark says something good real quick here before we go on. To be fair, the reason why Hollywood avoids R ratings is because they don't want to neglect more audiences, and ratings would restrict in theaters. More people, more money. And you're probably right. And Billy Barnett says either that R-rated version was shit, so they cut it to PG-13. And Nicholas Dickens agrees that I think at the 11th hour, they cut Venom's balls off. That's probably the simplest answer. Was the movie wasn't testing as well as they were hoping, or they were afraid it wasn't tracking as well as they were hoping, and they cut it at the last goddamn minute and played pretend. Like, oh, no, that was our plan all along. But where's this unrated cut on Blu-ray we were fucking promised as well?
And they can get more screenings in theaters for a PG-13 than they can for an R.
That's understandable too. I get that. I think
a PG-13 movie they will run all day long. An R, I think they will only run after 7 to close or wherever it is.
Well, to me, here's they kind of pulled a bait and switch, and this is what I was kind of getting to. What they did was get the buzz up on this, that this was going to be a kick-ass R-rated, Venom movie. So it got the kids interested. And then when they realized, oh, we've got a lot of, 12, 13-year-old boys who want to go see this fucking movie now. Well, we can't have a BR. They're not going to be able to get into it. Or they're not going to pay to see our movie anyway. They're going to pay to see another movie and sneak in. So they had to remedy that real fucking quick. And it's sad because this whole thing could have been planned this way, and it wasn't. I hate it when they say it was planned. I have a feeling I smell a Midnight's Edge video at some point on it, believe me.
Probably. So anyway, what else we got to cover here? Let's see. So the holiday special. You really don't want to see it. The holiday special is horrifying.
No, I didn't see they were taking down, but there's a really good copy out there right now. You better see it now then before it's gone if Disney's taking them down.
Yeah. It always crops up on like Daily Motion or whatever. All the freaking Wookiees.
Well, I pinned you or whatever in a version of it that's the best one I've seen so far. It even has the intro and everything. Because the versions I've seen before that cut off like the first 2 seconds of the show.
Oh my God. It is bizarre. It is,
really. But it's one of those things. It's like a train wreck. You start watching it and you're like, you got to finish it. And I've forced people to watch it who are Star Wars fans. It's like, this is a litmus test. This is like a rite of passage. You have to get through this at least once. You know what I mean? It's like you have to see how bad things could have gotten and where things were getting with the prequels. This is like looking at it in a little jar in a test tube. Whatever, however you want to put it.
Yeah.
It's just weird.
Tim Augustin says, "What would my reaction? Ask what my reaction be to a Married with Children revival with the OG cast? I would jump for joy. Hallelujah!"
Were they talking about that?
They were talking about it, yeah.
But I think the problem isn't how many. I think it'd have to be after whatchamacallit's done his show now, Ed O'Neill's show,
Modern Family.
Modern Family. Thank you, because of course they're pretty far into that. I'm thinking about their last season. I would think and hope.
I think so. I don't know.
I mean, I like the show. It's all right. I've seen a lot of random episodes. I've got the first season, I think, on Blu-ray, but I've never watched it all. I pick up, it was one of those cheap pickups at a pawn shop or a resale store, I'm sure. But anyhow, yeah, we could probably wrap her up. We've been on for almost 2 hours now, so.
Okay. All right. Well, anyway, Jeff, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, you have an open invitation. Come back whenever you're available, as your schedule permits it. Thank you very much. And this time difference is also
he's on a schedule a lot like Andre, so that's the other thing. Yeah. Be sure to check out. Jeffrey was on our Black Panther video, a couple other videos on the main channel, and he's been on
the X-Men video.
Interview. Well. Yep, we had an X-Men video a while back about Dark's Phoenix that he was on that we referred to earlier. I'll try and grab the links for all that and put them down in the description for everybody.
Yes. So anyway, if you like what we do here, click subscribe, click the bell icon, make sure you get informed of all the latest content. Head over to Patreon. You can support the channel for as little as $1 a month. Patreon supporters get all kinds of bonuses, bloopers, outtakes, lost episodes, behind the edge making of videos, and more. As I said, you can support the channel for as little as $1 a month. And if you don't have the means to support the channel through Patreon, click subscribe, click the bell icon, head over to the main channel, click subscribe, click the bell icon over there. Check out our new Stan Lee documentary. We enjoy doing that, even though it is very bittersweet. But we actually put a lot of care into
response to it so far.
Yeah, so far. Yeah. So, Jeff, why don't you tell them one more time about where people can find you and what you're up to these days?
Working on several projects. I'm actually at a video game company. We got a video game coming out on Xbox One and PlayStation 4 called Devil's Hunt. Working on some web series, adult animated web series with Tom and Rob that will be out in 2019. So you can find me on Twitter at jflash05, Instagram jflash05, and you can even check me out on Facebook, Jeffrey Thompson Jr.
Cool. Thank you very much. And as I said, we have to throw a shout out to our friends Mecca Randoms. She's
getting
taking care of herself. Yeah, she's getting a haircut and getting her hair done. You go, girl. She's getting her hair done today. I'd like to shout out to some of our favorite channels, Clownfish TV, Captain Robert April. We're trying to get him over 1,000 subs. Captain April, how many subs you got left to go? Is he still here?
Yeah, he's still here.
Yeah. Yes, Captain April, how many?
Stanley video.
Oh, thank you very much.
A few other people said thank you.
Yeah. So, yeah, check out, like I said, Professor Geek. Check out SC Reviews. Check out who else? Ren over at Ren Rants. Overlord DVD. Our good friend Dictor Van Doomcock, the man who will be the future ruler of Earth, and he's promised me Australia if he takes over the Earth. So
I think I'm supposed to get. I'm supposed to get New Zealand anyway.
Yeah, I think Jeff. I think I can wrangle you one of the Marshall Islands. So that's so yeah.
Quickly, Rob, to the pornmobile. That's how you get started.
Quickly to the pornmobile. Yes.
Somebody to be a really good Adam West.
Yes. Captain Abel has 876 subscribers. We're, like I said, let's get him over 1,000 by the new year.
Oh, he just needs less than 125. Let's go, guys. Come on.
Yeah, like by January 1st, let's see if we can get him over 1,000. As again, like I said, check out our friends, check out, and thank you everybody for joining us. If we don't see you before then, have a happy and safe Christmas. No drinking, no driving. Take care of you.
Holiday, Hanukkah, whatever you.
Holiday, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, Festivus. Tomorrow's Festivus, so we'll have the airing of grievances. So I got a lot of problems with you people. Kruger, your company stinks. So then when the Festivus won't be over until the Feats of Strength. So anyway, Jeff, once again, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
And we'd like to thank everybody in the chat. Thank you for the super chats. And we will catch you next time.